plans deep dive. So we're going to actually go through and we're going to build at least 2 action plans today and talk about why we're putting things where we are and all of that side of things. This is being recorded. So it is being recorded. You will get a copy of the recording today. It will also be posted on our Facebook channel and our YouTube page. I do want to make sure y'all can hear me. So if you can go ahead and type in that chat box on the left-hand side of your screen that you can hear me, that would be very helpful. This does 2 things for me. It lets me know that my sound is working, 1. It also lets me know that you know where that chat box is, because the goal of this webinar is that it is interactive. And so I really do want this to be a place where you can ask questions and share best practices, and we can spend about the next 40 minutes together really honing in on what we need to do to build your business come 2020, which is crazy that we're talking about 2020 already. So without further ado, you should be able to see my screen. I am going to go slowly through things. I know that it's a little fuzzy around the edges, but we'll scroll in and zoom in on the areas that we need to. So once you log into your IQ Office, where we're going to be spending our time today is underneath this Tools and Preferences tab and underneath Action Plans. And before we jump into that, what I really would like to do is define what an action plan is. So you have a lot of tools available to you within your IQ Office. You have the ability to create marketing items as one-time send out flyers and things. You have the ability to create email marketing campaigns, and you have the ability to create action plans. And what an action plan is saying, all right, James has a client, and these are all the things that he would like to do with the client beyond just sending email marketing. It's email marketing, it's scheduling follow-ups, whether those are phone calls, text messages, social media, scheduling face-to-face meetings, and adding to drip campaigns. So it's really coming up with your game plan for your contacts and or your listings. How many of you have a list of things that you need or want to do for every lead that you get, whether it's an online lead or a face-to-face referral lead from a friend, family member, or another agent? Do you have a list of that? Cool, so a couple of you do. Awesome. Some of you don't, that's okay. We're gonna talk about some of the things you can do today. And we're gonna begin to build those. So we're gonna click on My Action Plans here. I'm glad that some of you have a list. That will make your life a little bit easier. For those of you that don't have a list, this is what I recommend. Y'all can't see me sitting at my desk here, but I actually travel around with 3 notebooks everywhere I go. And I make notes about good ideas or things that strike me as I should add to action plans or marketing ideas or Facebook Lives. And I just have lists going everywhere I go. So that's where you start with making your list. Or when you collect from other agents, you say, oh, that's a good idea. I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna add it to my plan. I fully believe that there is enough room in this industry for so much tremendous growth that taking ideas from other people, you will never do things the way other people do. So Ken may have a fabulous list of things, and I might look at Ken's list and think, oh, he's got some really good stuff on there. I'm going to take these 3 ideas that Ken has, but I will likely execute on them very different than he does, because we're different people and we run our business differently. Does that make sense to everyone? Cool. So once you're in this action plans dashboard, this is your main action plan dashboard. In the upper right-hand corner, you have a button that says New, and that's where we're going to start today. And the first thing we're going to talk about is online leads and following up with online leads. So I click New. I'm going to type in that this is a paid online lead action plan. And when I click Save, it's going to open up the main action plan edit screen. I know that there's some new names on this webinar today. For those of you that are new, anytime a screen slides out from the right, you're in an editing screen. So I can see here in my new action plan that there are no items in the action plan. And when I click on add, I'm going to be given the choice first to set up the details of the action plan items. So do I want to do an automatic system email, a follow-up request, add to campaign, or send a survey? I like having auto emails go out for online leads because oftentimes online leads come in at a time that I am not necessarily readily available. I might be teaching, I might be showing property, I might be at dinner, I might be at an event with my daughter. But I can't always get back to them, and I know all of you have that as well. So I like to have an automatic system email go out first. I like to name the email so I know what's going out. This is just for my reference. And then you're going to type the subject line of the email. I like to make this something that appears to the client as if it's interesting. If you wouldn't open your email, neither will the online lead. So we're going to put subject line. Nope, wrong meet. And I want that to be due immediately. Below that are the options for the event. So do you want it to wait a certain number of minutes before it happens? Yes or no? A time when this would be really handy is if you are doing an open house style lead. So you're creating an action plan for your open house leads. And you just physically talk to someone and you put them in your database and added them to your open house action plan. To make it seem less like a robot that's sending, you can choose to have this send up to an hour after you add them to the action plan. For an online paid lead, I want it to go out immediately. Do you want the event to repeat? Yes or no? And who do you want it to send from? I want it to send from me, the owner of the lead. If you are on a team, are any of you on teams this morning? If you're on a team, say yes in that chat box. Okay, perfect. So we do have some teams. So if you are a team, so Lori, you're on a team. If you are the team leader and you want it to come out from you, the team leader, you would select owner. If you are a team leader and you want it to come out from the agent the lead is assigned to on your team, you would select agent. Does that make sense? Perfect. You can choose to carbon copy or blind copy someone. So if you want to be carbon copied on everything, you can put your name in here. If you want to be blind copied on everything, you can put your name here. And then you're going to search for the content. Now, when I click search, it's going to pull up all of my saved content. I can scroll through, I can find my saved content. Once I click select, it adds it in here. Then I choose who am I sending it to. I want to send this to the contact or lead. Where this becomes great if you are a team member or a team leader is you could create an action plan that you could assign to your team members that had automatic emails that went out and they sent from you, the owner, to the assigned agent to remind them of follow-ups. As an office admin, I know that we've got a couple of those on here on the line today as well. You can do the same thing. So you can create an action plan that is an online lead follow-up reminders that only goes out to the agents in your office. They don't actually go out to the contacts. So this can be a great reminder for you as well. You can also set it, if you're not on a team and you're not an office admin, you can set it to go and be an auto email that is a weekly wrap up of checking your leads that goes out to you, the agent, so that you're reminded to log in and check things. To do that here, you can send it from whomever you would like, and you would send it to the owner agent of the lead. Does that make sense to everyone? So you can use this to send out emails to your contacts, to your team members if you're on a team, or to yourself as reminders. Cool. For the sake of today, we're doing a welcome email. Great to meet you. I'll call you shortly. We're sending it to the contact lead and we're clicking save. Now I can see that item here. Let's talk about what that email looks like, because you do have to have this content created before you can attach it to an action plan. So what do you do if you start making your action plan and you realize you don't have the content created? I create the item in here as a placeholder, and then I immediately click save, and I will go out and I'll go to marketing, print content, and then I'm going to choose a blank content or whatever content I would like. Let's say I'm going to go in, I'm going to look at the letters available, and I'm going to say, let's just say seller prospecting letters. Here's an introduction letter. I want to edit this letter. I'm going to change it and say welcome letter, action plan. I'm going to change the category to action plan emails. And then I can click on this text and I can edit all of this. It's going to insert the contact first name. So right now it's going to say hello, contact first name. So if Wanda was the contact, it would say hello, Wanda. Are you interested in buying your own home? Call or text me. Okay, maybe this isn't the information I want. I can go in and I can delete this and type my own content. Hello, contact first name. I see you requested information about a property, and currently I am in a meeting. Your business is important to me, and I will be reaching out as soon as I wrap up here. If you need immediate assistance, please text me at, and then what I'm going to show you here is really cool. So up here you see where it says add to text. I can go in and I can put in here from agent cell and select. What happens then is if I update my cell phone number in my profile, it automatically updates in my content. The nice thing about doing that is anytime I change my cell phone, change my email signature and all of that, I'm not having to go in and change all my content. Does that make sense to everybody? Cool. Please text me here and I will looking forward to speaking with you. Cheers. And then I can go up here again. I'm going to choose from the drop down from my agent email signature, select, and now it enters in. I click OK. I click save. And that content is here. Chris has a really good question. Why did you go to marketing, print marketing, rather than marketing, email marketing, or My Saved Content? Chris, you could go any of those places. So there's a lot of ways you can reach saved content. You can get to My Saved Content this way. Go My Saved Content. It opens up your main content dashboard. You can add content. You can go to marketing and go to email content and do that here. Or you can go to print marketing. I went to print marketing because I like to make some e-marketing templates are not available for print. And for something like a letter, I want to make sure I can use it not only for email marketing, but if I wanted to print that letter out, I could do that. And then Lisa asked a good question. Does this change only that document? So when I go in to add content again, and I drop down to that letter that is, the letter I chose was seller prospecting. Here is the template letter that this is not changing the template letter. It's only changing the document that I did. The templates stay the same. Then if I want to go back, I can actually go in and search for category. And I can see all my action plan letters. And then to change this specific content again, I'd have to go back into actions and into edit. So it does not change the template. It takes the template, it uses it, and then it gives me the ability to edit it and create a clone. Does that answer your question, Lisa? Perfect. So back to our action plans. Now let's say I want to change that letter out. Here's my paid online leads. I go to actions, edit. I can see this welcome email. I'm going to edit this because I want to put different content in here. I just would click the search button and I can say, okay, I want to go into my action plan emails. Here's that welcome letter action plan. And I can click save. Now, what if I want there to be a PDF attached or something like that? You can attach documents. You would click upload a file. You would just click add a file. And then you would select it from your desktop. Something to keep in mind if you are attaching documents to an email to a lead that you do not know. If you are emailing someone who doesn't have you in their saved contacts, the chances of you getting filtered by spam if you have an attachment increase a lot. So if you want to do that, it's fine. You absolutely can. However, know that that does change your spam filter kindness, for lack of a better term. So I recommend not uploading something if you don't have to. Now, if this is an action plan that you're applying to, maybe you're doing an online lead campaign and you want everybody that does it gets a copy of your resume, you can absolutely do that. It makes sense. I get it. And that's how you would do it. And then you click save. So now we're going to add another action plan. So when an online action plan item, so when an online lead comes up, a good rule of thumb is for the first 4 days that that lead is in the system, they need to hear from you at least once a day. On the one hand, it's important to reach out to them often. On the other hand, it can get really irritating to hear from someone 17 times in 4 days. However, the statistics say that someone has to hear from you 8 to 12 times before they say yes or no. So your potential clients are not going to respond at all until they hear from you 8 times. So right now we've got our first touch point initiated. It's an automatic system email that goes out as soon as that online lead comes in. The next one I'm going to add is a follow-up request, and I'm going to name this phone call contact week 1. And the reason I'm going to do that is because the first week they're in there, I'm going to have more phone calls to this client than I am in week 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to have this be due immediately. You don't want to blacklist yourself if it's overdue. This is an admin feature so that they can use that. So if you're an agent, you don't need to worry about that. For repeat, I'm going to say yes. I want to repeat this every day for required. Required means I cannot snooze or dismiss that action, and I click save. So now I have 1 contact the first day and a phone call the first day and a phone call for 4 days after that. Everybody good with that plan so far? Awesome. Now we're going to add an additional phone follow-up, and that is going to be a text message. So I'm going to say I would like it to be due immediately. Again, I'm not going to blacklist myself. I do want to repeat it. I want to repeat it every day for 7 days, and I can't snooze it. So now I've got my first week of actions due. Notice that they start immediately. As soon as I go in and I complete the follow-ups that I just did, the next follow-up will apply. So once I complete phone call 1, phone call 2 will automatically assign. It will not assign until I complete phone call 1. Now, for the second week of a lead, you don't need to be as aggressive. Do you still need to be front and center? Absolutely. But it's also important that you are in touch with people and reality and your time as well. So I'm going to say, okay, now we're headed into the second week. I want to do, I want to have them added to it. Maybe I want to have them added to a campaign. This is going to be my events campaign. I want that to happen on day 4. And then I'm going to choose the campaign from the drop down. Again, you have to have the campaign built before you can add it as an action item. Do y'all want to see how to build a campaign? Cool. So within this marketing tab, we just went through content, and there's this section called My Campaigns. It is easiest to create your content first and then attach it to a campaign. So we're going to open up My Campaigns, and we're going to, if you've never created a campaign before, you're going to see this green button. If you have, you're going to click the plus button in the upper right-hand corner, and you're going to say, okay, I'm going to create a campaign, and I'm going to name this campaign my Event All Contact Campaign. When you're creating a campaign, it is best practice to target your campaign at contact types so that you know what content is in that campaign. Chris asked a good question. To touch for 5 days, would it be repeat after 1 day and repeat for 4 days, or repeat for 5 days? It would be repeat for 4 days because you've already got that first event. So it's the first event plus how many days do you want to repeat it. You're welcome. So then you can go in. I'm going to choose for my content. I can say, all right, I would like to do a just listed property flyer. And I'm going to send this out using a date. And I'm going to send it out at 9:30 in the morning. I'm going to say new listing. Won't last long. Call me to go see. The difference in the subject line and the title line is this. The subject line is what goes out to the client as the subject. The title line is how you know what the content is. They can absolutely be the same thing, but if you're sending out a whole bunch of new listings, won't last long, call me to go see, or call me to go see this listing, it's really nice to have that address in the title. So then I'm going to click next. I want to save changes only for this instant, and I click finish. Now, I can, Elaine, let me come back to your question. I can go into that content campaign and I can add as many events as I would like. And when I'm adding events, I can say, I want this to send out on specific days. So I'm just going to pick a card here. So I can say, I want to use a date to send this out. I want to send this out on the 1st of a month. I want to send this out on a specific holiday or birthday. I want to send this out on an interval. So an interval is the same idea as an action plan. After so many days, I want this email to go out. I want this to go out on a certain day of the week. I want this to go out based on a transaction day and after X amount of days. Now, you can have a campaign that uses all of these different types of sends. The send only applies to the event you are editing. Does that make sense to everyone? Perfect. Any other yeses? Any questions on that? That I think is a really confusing concept. Cool, thanks. Again, you choose the time and you can continue to add. If we want to use a document from another, Elaine, I need you to expand. So Elaine asked, what if we want to use a document from another pre-built by IQ Office? Are you talking about built within your marketing and this saved content? Oh, so there's like a buyer campaign that your office has done. So if your office has created content, that's a really good question. So if you have content created by your office and you want to use content created by your office, underneath content type, you can actually choose from company content, and all the content your company has created will show up here, and you can absolutely use that. Now, in your action plan, if you want to use a company created campaign, you absolutely can do that as well. So if I said, hey, right here where it says day 4, add events campaign, it is going to show all of the campaigns here, the ones you have created as well as the ones your company has created. So you can add them to ones you have created or your company has. There's another good question. Margaret asked, if you include them in a campaign, personal or company, and the person chooses to unsubscribe from the campaign, what does that do to the action plan? And the action is, or the answer is nothing. So all it does is unsubscribe them from the emails. You would get a notification. You could see that they had unsubscribed, but so you're going to get an email that says, hey, Elaine has unsubscribed from your campaign. But it doesn't change your follow-up action plans. And we're going to get to how you can turn an action plan off here in just a minute, Margaret. Good question. All right. Chris, that is a question that we need to probably address outside this webinar, or we'll go down a giant rabbit hole. And I want to make sure that I am using people's time wisely. Can you shoot me an email after this? I'm happy to answer that question outside this webinar. So the last few things I want to talk about are follow-ups the next week. So now we've got our first week emails. We've got them added to a drip campaign. We need to talk about what happens after that first week. So we're going to start scheduling our follow-ups for after that. So we're going to say, hey, we're going to do voice-to-voice outreach after the first week. So this is going to be due after 7 days. It's going to repeat yes, and it's going to repeat every 3 days for 3 times. So after a week, you're going to reach out to them every 3rd day, and that takes you into week 2 for following up. I'm actually going to go in here and say voice-to-voice weeks 2 to 3. Then I know what it is. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to create a weekly follow-up request. And when I put in here voice contact, I consider voice contact text messaging or phone call or voicemail. It just means that I'm making a conscious effort to use my phone and reach out to someone, not just emailing. And I'm going to have this be due after 14 days. And I'm going to have it repeat every 7 days for the next 8 weeks. And click save. We're going to get there, Deborah. But right now what we're doing, so Deborah asked, what if after a few days they ask you not to contact them anymore? What do you do? Because you've got all these things set up. We are assuming, Deborah, that right now we're setting up this online lead as if they are either getting back to you on want information, or B, not getting back to you. I'm going to talk to you about how to delete or turn off an action plan for a contact in just a second. So now we're through the first quarter. And now what I want to do is get us through the first year. So we're doing, for the first week, we're talking to them every day. For the next 2 weeks, we're talking to them every 3 days. For the first, after that, we're talking to them once a week. And now what we're going to do is we're going to set up our monthly check-in. And that's going to be due after 60 days. We do want it to repeat. We want it to repeat every 30 days. And we want it to repeat probably 8 times. Now I've got a whole year of manual follow-ups I want to add. If I want to add additional emails in here that are automatically going out once a month or something like that, I can do that. Personally knowing that I've got them on this events campaign that they're going to be getting information from, I don't feel like I need to have a bunch of automatic emails that go out. I would rather have the content and manage the campaign than have auto emails. Now that is totally up to you. Again, you can go in, you can set up those automatic system emails to go out. So once you've created your plan, how do you attach it to a contact? And to do that, you're going to go into your customer relations tab, my contacts and leads, and you're going to open up your contact, and then you're going to go to this actions tab. And here I can go in and I can add an action plan. And as I scroll down, I can see my paid online lead action plan. And I can click save. And now I can see everything that's happening. Here we are, email, they're going to add to a campaign. These things are automatic, so it doesn't tell me when they're due, but I can see what's coming up here. So monthly check-in happens in 59, this one's in 13, this one's in 6 days. These were due 8 hours ago. When I go back to my main dashboard, it is going to show me all of my actions for that contact or lead here. If you are on a team, it will also show who they are assigned to. So if you're the team leader, it's going to show that it's assigned to what agent on your team. I can go in, I can mark this as done. I can text, I can call, I can email. I can also view. So Deborah, I reach out to you after a few days. You say, hey, I appreciate you reaching out to me. My sister's brother's in-law is actually a real estate agent, and I'm going to use them for my next transaction. I can go into my actions tab. Underneath action plan, I can click delete. Anything that I have already completed will always show here as complete because I've already done it. If I have individually added an action, it will show here, but notice now there is no paid online lead action plan. It deleted all of those actions. And when I close out and go back to my home page, all of those things I was supposed to do are gone. So if you have an action plan, they're on your tab. If you delete the action plan off a contact because they say they don't want to be in touch with you anymore, it takes them off. Chris asks probably the most frequently asked question I get when I do this webinar. How do you add multiple contacts or leads to an action plan at the same time? And the action, Chris, is you have to manually do that. And the logic of it is this. You just took a webinar on creating action plans and you're super excited about how it works. And you have got 400 contacts in your sphere and you want to add them all to an action plan. If you add them all to an action plan on the same day, all of the follow-ups also fall on the same day. And so it's really important that you are setting yourself up for success. And typically speaking, between 25 and 30 are the only number of contacts that you can make, like realistically make in one day. The best way to do this is this. You're going to go into your contacts and leads. You're going to open up your first contact. You're going to assign, if they're not assigned to an action plan, you're going to click assign. You're going to choose that action plan, click save, and then you're going to click next. And you're going to assign 25 people a day to a plan. Once you've done 25, you're going to stop, and tomorrow you're going to add 25 more so that your first follow-up in 4 days doesn't attach to 300 people. And then on your home dashboard, you have 300 things to do, which is not a realistic amount of things to do here. So you can only add them one at a time. I recommend between 25 and 30 at a time. Other questions? That's a great question too. So if you add a client to an action plan and you want to make a change or edit that action plan, will it affect previously assigned contacts or leads or only new contacts or leads? If you're making changes to that action plan here, it affects everybody on that action plan. However, let's say you go in and you're looking at your contact and you say, okay, I get that, but I actually talked to them. I had this voice-to-voice phone call and I need to change the date for this. I need to change this so that it's due on Wednesday. That only changes the action plan event for this client. So you need to make adjustments on a per client basis. You can absolutely do that as well. You do that within the client. You also can add individual client follow-ups if there's specific things like, hey, I told Alan that I would call him on, let's say, a specific date. I can say, Alan, follow-up. We talked about meeting up at the chamber event. Call him the morning of. And then I need to say, hey, I know the chamber event is that Thursday. I need to call him at 6:30 in the morning. I can add individual events here that just go underneath no plan individually added actions. So you can have specific actions that are not related to a plan. What's the point of all of this is that as you're building your action plans and as you're putting follow-up actions on clients, you are no longer spending time in this contacts and leads tab except for to add new people and add them to plans. What you're doing is you're working your dashboard of your to-do gauge as well as your recent contact activity. So you're logging into your IQ office and you're working right from your home screen of everything you need to have done. Other questions? Did that answer your question, Chris? Perfect. Terry, that's a request that's into the development team. So Terry asked, is it possible to change the time the system sends those reminder messages to agents? I have agents who are getting those texts and email reminders at midnight, and that's a request that's into the development team to get figured out. So we're at just about 41 minutes. We just got through contact action plans. There is also a whole listing action plan in here. There's no physical way that we can get through that in 20 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add that to the schedule. Listing action plans will be coming up here in the next month of training. So probably that second week in October is likely when we'll do that. Terry, I don't have a timeline. No, I'm sorry. I do know that it's in, that's all I know. This is recorded. You're going to get a copy of this recording. Also, as we're finishing this, I want to make sure you'll know about our Facebook and our YouTube channel so you know where to go look up information. And you're going to get a quick survey at the end of this webinar to your email. And any feedback you can give is really helpful for me and my ability to get webinars scheduled that you find value in, and as well as improve the information I deliver to you. So quickly before we're done, we do have a Facebook group if you're not a part of it. You can find it at Realistic Users. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy and paste that link into the chat box. If you click on it, it will open in a separate tab. This is a great place to go and ask questions, how-to questions, and things like that. You also can find us on YouTube. Our user there is Realistic Support. And it looks like this. The nice thing about the YouTube channel versus the Facebook channel is you can go in and you can search for items. So where this little search bar is, you can actually type actions and it will pull up all of the videos about action plans. And lastly, all of our training is posted online. It's posted at showtime.zoho.com /profiles. I'm going to give you this link too. Because it's a long one to remember. So you can find all of our training here. This is always updated. We are working consistently to get you good training. You can also will get an email with a link to this so that you can register and see what you're doing. If you cannot attend a webinar at the scheduled time and you register for it, you will always get the recording. So if you say, hey, I would love to next Monday come to the Marketing a Listing webinar, unfortunately, I'm booked between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. Pacific time. Register anyway. You'll get a copy, email digital copy of that webinar as soon as it's completed. Any other questions from anyone today? So the hardest part of this is to go in and apply it. So before y'all get off the call, I do want you to get out your calendar and look at a time today that you can work on this. So sometime between now and Friday, when are you going to go in and start working on creating your action plans for online leads, circle of influence or sphere of influence, and referral business? When I say referral business, what I mean is create an action plan to be reaching out to the other real estate agents that you've met in the past or done referral business with so that you stay top of mind. So 3 action plan types are, and I'll type them in here for y'all in the chat box, are going to be your circle of influence or your SOI. So your COI or SOI, same thing. You're also going to do your online leads plan, and you're also going to do your referral business, which are the people that you've done business with in the past that you're going to reach out to and continue to stay top of mind for those people. Yes, Margaret, yours will be a little bit different. Cool. Awesome, awesome. Have a great day, and I will talk to you all soon.